After 6 unlucky buses, he became a lawyer, braved a return to the restaurant to settle his 7-year absence, yet the old lady forgot him entirely. Not until he revealed his identity did the old lady recall vague memories. They greeted each other with simple joy. Imagine him suddenly taking out cash to settle debts, only to be firmly refused by her. You haven't been around for 7 years. You can't just toss money in like it's monopoly money. As someone who had been out of the loop, he didn't need to worry about his pride after paying. So he lunged at her like he'd just found his lifeline, as if embracing his second mother. From there on, their business boomed like never before. Pound emote that letter 3C meaninja letter to be ignot sign turned or retroflex a quarter 3 emote a head dead pound compared to eyes complex emote. The office soon got a facelift, and to top it off, they hired a new receptionist for better service. Meanwhile, he didn't forget his promise to the old lady. The daily pork rice was so intense that even his assistant developed a natural aversion to it. 3/4 micro divide by o tilde u circumflex o Chinese letter IQ tower u amount 3/4 or paragraph on not sign c still o grov times array quarter o tilde aq u grov s I x t e n legit z not sign symbol 36ch plus or minus band 3 o mat aqt o mat o grov braille 1267. Until one day, a judicial judge arrived with a tax form seeking help. Sparking an idea, he spotted another huge opportunity. Suddenly, Busan lawyers flooded into real estate registration, and their business was gradually divided. So he had a light bulb moment and decided to switch gears into the tax field. After all, only those ahead of the pack get to count bills until their hands are sore. Just as he was about to strut his stuff, noise erupted downstairs. Lawyers had gathered to protest against him. At that time, President Chun Du-H1 seized power through a military coup, ordering a heavy hand on student protests, famously known as the Guangzhou Incident of 1980. The biggest hatchet man behind this, Cho Dong-young, was busy in Busan quelling a massive student revolt, but he was blissfully unaware that his own fate was about to take a turn. That day, just like any other, he invited his high school buddies over to the restaurant. Riding high, he waxed lyrical like a successful person. Meanwhile, his classmates scrambled to flatter him except for one who was glued to the political news on TV, vehemently criticizing the government's crackdown on student protests, saying these folks at Seoul University just slacked off. After hearing all this, his old classmate couldn't help but warn him, "Don't think the world is a joke just because you hit a little luck. Do you really believe the top students across the nation just mess around to dodge studying?" That particular remark undoubtedly struck at his most vulnerable point. The two individuals couldn't resolve their argument, and within just a few minutes, pots, pans, and dishes were scattered all over the floor in pieces, with their once cherished friendship as classmates vanishing in an instant. Later, nursing his wounds at the restaurant, he looked at the silent college students, Xiao Yu, and earnestly advised, "Your mom worked so hard to put you through school. If you go to protest, you'll definitely face consequences." Yet Xiao Yu shrugged it off. "No matter when, you're like a butterfly, and the butterfly will inevitably be swatted down by mosquitoes and then torn apart." However, he mistakenly thought that Xiao Yu was venting her dissatisfaction, so he hurriedly took out his wallet and slapped the money down on the table. At that time, 9 students leading a reading club in China's Reading League incident were branded traitors and severely punished, and their defender, Old Jin, lost his law license. So they brainstormed to find a young lawyer who hadn't been flagged yet, right when he showed up at the door with gifts. Yet he was clueless about all this. He was here to recruit talent for his new tax law office. He promised to fund Old Jin's efforts to regain his lawyer's license, but this time, Old Jin surprisingly turned him down. Thus, he returned empty-handed, shut out, and passed his usual restaurant, finding things weren't as simple. Carefree landlady closed shop for over a month to find her missing son. To locate Xiaoyu, she returned to the office and asked her assistant to use police contacts. However, a police station friend warned the assistant to avoid this, as the president personally ordered it. Getting involved may lead to jail. Meanwhile, Old Jin, who previously rejected him, changed his mind, hoping he'd handle a national security law case. But he replied that he'd taken on a big case recently and couldn't squeeze out time. However, upon returning home and seeing the newspaper reports, he suddenly realized that the case Old Jin wanted him to handle probably linked up with the Axlotus incident. And the old lady's son, Xiaoyu, might be involved as well. Their encounter the next day confirmed the seemingly helpless restaurant owner clutched at him like he was a lifeline, pleading for help. Turns out, she received a notification of the trial stating that Xiaoyu would be tried in 2 days. Out of options and lonely, she desperately pleaded for his help, and he quickly agreed amidst the chaos. Yet he replied that he had urgent matters to attend to and couldn't return immediately, but the old lady mistook this as him wanting to vent his frustrations. So she repeatedly apologized, admitting it was her fault for chasing him out, unaware he had a crucial meeting. He was there for a top 10 national engineering firm invited to help resolve a tax dispute. If he could smooth over this matter, he'd be rich overnight. Yet his dark brown and black eyes seemed utterly unconcerned with it all, because at that moment all his thoughts were with Xiaoyu. So, after the meeting, he rushed off with a check to meet her. After much effort, he finally found the address written on the paper, only to discover that the old lady had vanished. He waited there all day from daylight to dusk, from soft light to dreams. After a long day of helpless waiting, the old lady finally returned. The next day, they arrived at the detention center to ask for a meeting, only to be turned down coldly. At this moment, his lawyer instincts kicked in, sternly warning that banning family visits was illegal. The operator contacted the mastermind behind the incident, the prosecutor, who finally realized he was a tax lawyer, not a criminal one, and immediately chose to grant them. However, Xiaoyu, who had been missing for over 2 months, appeared to have lost his mind, mumbling nonsensically in response to his calls. Only when he met his mother's gaze did his frayed nerves start to calm. Their reunion then seemed miraculous, yet she found his back bruised. He was curious about the wound's origin, but the guard stopped the meeting, dragging Xiaoyu back into his dark prison. Sensing something was amiss, he hurried over to Old Jin's office to investigate. He spent the entire night poring over those so-called banned books. The long night made the dim light feel even weaker, reminiscent of his past study sessions. But this time, his perspective had completely changed. After grasping the harmless content in the books, he angrily went to confront Old Jin. Old Jin told him to go back and think it over, not to make major decisions in a moment of passion. That's when he shot back. Then why did you impulsively ask me to be your defense? If you want me in this act, let me find the right attorney. I'm the one. Back home, he looked at his sleeping wife and child, wondering if his reckless actions might drag them into an abyss of hopelessness. In the afternoon, he came to the courthouse for the trial, but met his unfriendly journalist classmate. The classmate held on to his prejudice, believing he was just there to gain popularity from this nationally shocking case. However, this highly publicized trial seemed to have no room for defense whatsoever. Before the trial began, the judge casually greeted the prosecution, stating he had already spoken with his superiors. It seemed the trial, deciding others' fates and the nation's future, had been decided from the start. The upcoming process was merely a formality. As the 9 youths were slowly ushered into the courtroom, their relatives wept uncontrollably, filled with both hope and despair.